Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's question time live stream. We are live and we're answering your questions about games development, Unreal Engine 4 or 5, or anything else you really want to ask me. It's all fair game. So if you don't know how this works, all you have to do is put your question into chat and I'll try and catch as many questions as I can before the time is up for the live stream. If I do miss your question, don't fret, just put it in there again. I'll try and catch as many. Okay. First things first, before we do get started, I do want to draw attention to a news post I did put on the Patreon and on LinkedIn as well about private sessions. Private sessions are changing slightly, where they're going from 90 minutes long to 60 minutes long. You can find out full details on why that's the case over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley, or on my LinkedIn. You can find it there too. But full details are there about why that's happened. It's mostly down to economics and just scheduling. It's hard to schedule people in when I want to. So we are doing some slight adjustments here and hopefully seeing how things go. But keep an eye out for that. If you are interested in getting sessions, you can pre-order as many sessions as you like before September and get the 90 minutes fully, or after September you'll have 60-minute sessions. Anyway, let's move on. Full details are there. I'm not going to reiterate them over and over. Okay, so we've had a couple of questions already in the chat here, I can see. I'm going to answer a couple off the gate. So answer a couple of quick ones. Shenkins is asking, how can I lock some array elements for editing in class defaults? If you've got an array and you want to just lock one or two elements to it, you can't do that. You can only lock the whole entire thing, or not. You can't do part of it. Okay. As far as I'm aware, that is not possible. Okay. Heads up on that one. By the way, if you're hitting me doing this a lot of the time, it's because my wife's out, so I've got to listen out for the kids in case they start screaming. Okay. We're going to be answering Jobu's question about seeing enemy AI run around and make it look more natural when they take the shortest path and things like that. In a moment. Racing as fun's question. Say I have a long fence mesh, how would I blow it over sideways in an event? Every time I seem to force it, it just moves sideways or up. I'm going to tip it over. You're looking at physics-based. There's easy solution for that. Or you animate it on a rotation. You're not moving it down. But if you want to do physics-based, just constrain it to the floor at the base, and it will tip over. The physics constraint. But anyway, I wanted to answer Jobu's question first. I've seen your question, Kalani. We'll get round to that in a moment. So, let's answer Jobu's first. Okay, so we got make a character for AI to use, and open him up, and just so we can see him, let's put a little mesh on here. Okay, our character. As I say, we'll put in a couple because you're testing out stopping them from grouping up together. Okay. We'll need a AI controller. Although we could use the default one. I'll do it all. We'll use AI controller. AI. Behavior tree. Bless me. Behavior. And a blackboard. We won't need all these, but also have it. Tell our AI character to use our controller. So it's nothing new here. You should see this stuff before. And we'll tell it to run a behavior tree. So yeah, nothing new. Okay. Put a nav mesh in here. So, whoop. Search that out. I will check it. Yep, that looks okay. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to demonstrate what Joby was asking. First of all, then I'll just go around showing the solution or a solution for it. As with anything, there's multiple ways of doing all sorts of things in here. But yeah, so let's make them run around. Let's make them run to. Let's make them follow me. Okay, so they don't just follow in like a straight line. Okay, so we go to ask it. I won't bother with behavior tree. We'll skip that. We don't need it. Oh, actually, do we? Oh no, we don't. We don't really need it. It'll be fine without it. Oh, sorry. My moustache hair is getting into my nostrils. It's very tickly. AI move to pawn. Get controlled. Pawn. Target itself. Right, so destination. So target actor first of all we'll do as our particular player character. Okay, so get player character. Okay. And this is going to create this issue that you're seeing, Joby is seeing here, where they're just going to. I'll make them slower. Hold on. It skews their robotic-looking thing. AI, roller, blueprint is basic. Let's do 400 then. If I can fix that. Master character. Yep. Which one was it? It was. Good move. Don't need acceleration. If I. Yeah. Right. Let's fix their rotation a little bit here, because they're still using a default rotation. So we'll turn that off. Your one over here, and tell rotation to follow the desired rotation. Yeah. Okay. Right. So here they come. Okay. So yeah, they're going to follow the naturally follow the shortest path, but that turns into them forming a line like this. Okay. Which, all right. It's fine, but it's not the greatest. So first things first, we want to turn on their avoidance stuff. So let's go into a character, go to character movement, and search for RVO, and you want to turn that on. That's the first thing. That'll first solve a bit of the getting in line sort of issue, because they want to try and avoid each other. They get stuck or anything like that. You see there, they will bunch around and things like that. Ah, yeah, I forgot to actually tell them to actually keep following me. Success. Move. Success will do. Move. Okay, so it just loops. Move. Okay, so yeah, so the RVO avoidance will help a little bit. Especially up close, where they'll just want to get around you, such. But it's this train looking thing, okay? So naturally they're going to want to chase you to a certain point, which can look a bit weird. So the solution, there's a couple of ways of doing it. The first thing, if you don't want to use the blackboard behavior tree or anything like that, you're just using move 2. The issue you have first of all is this target actor. So this target actor is following and chasing the target actor, which means it's, as I move around, they're going to update their goal and chase me properly. If I put in destination and randomize that, the problem I have is that they're not going to update that closely. Okay, so what you can do is just mess about with this acceptance radius first of all, as a one thing first of all. So you can just randomize that a little bit. So go 5, 100. And you'll get starting, stopping, and all that sort of stuff at the different times. Yeah. We'll turn on actually change their desired movement to the rotation because it looks a bit weird when they're sliding around. There you go. Okay, so a little bit better. They'll adjust slightly, be a bit more different each time, but you eventually will get to a point where they start doing it again. Okay, going for long enough. So the only way around it is to tell them to avoid each other further. So if you go to the RVO avoidance, because the only reason why someone wouldn't want to run directly at you in a straight line is because there's something in the way. So it's some sort of concept here. And you'll see avoidance consideration radius is 500 centimeters. So anything within 500 it will consider to try and move out the way for it. Now if I wanted to, I can increase the weighting, I think. Maybe it's not this one, maybe it's the other detour system. This one. That's a 1 for now. See what difference that makes. I don't think that is it. I think what I'm thinking of is on the detour system. So it's like an agent size you can take it to. Yeah. The alternative is to do location based stuff. And take it to track it. So you can't use this. We have to use a behavior tree, I believe. Put that on the behavior tree. File save. And we'll go to behavior. Sequence. And we'll get a new task here to find the player. Yeah, find player. And see if execute AI. Get player character. Set blackboard value as object. Promote the key to a variable. Target actor. And also I want to get the location of this as well. Get actor location. And set blackboard value as vector. That's a variable. Target location. And put that in. Then do finish execute. Yes. File. And then we want to put in the find player thing. Whoops, I forgot to make these editable. Yeah. Blackboard, make a few of these. Object. Target actor. Key type will change to be an actor class. And a vector. Target location. Yeah. Behavior tree. And I should be able to set these to that. So target actor, target location. And then we have the move to. So move to, I think the default one is pretty basic. But basically we want to change the blackboard key to be target location and observe the blackboard value. Now that blackboard value is only going to be changing on this. Okay, so doing it in a sequence is no good because it's going to hit this one first and then move on, which we don't want. We want them to do basically both at the same time. That's where simple parallel comes in. Okay, and this is going to do find player in the grey bit. It has the bit that loops, and then move to is going to go here. And what that move to should do, because I told it to observe the blackboard value, if that blackboard value changes anything higher than 4.75 in difference, then it should move to and change that location. Okay. Now save that to a test if this works. Make sure they're chasing me properly. Not. Have a look why it's the case. Sequence, simple parallel. Move to target location. Probably have this happen first. Hang on. Okay. So they're following me now a little bit better. Which is good. Okay, so now I need to tell my player to this find player location here to randomize this somewhat. So we're going to do random point in reachable radius. So we find a player location that's close enough to that, and the radius we'll search for. We'll do 300. I don't know. But the problem is it's going to be stuttering like this, which is not what we want. Okay, so if that's not the case, yeah, sorry, Trevor. Yeah, your detour system has some settings in there, but this would do it as well. But we need to put in. The problem is at the moment is that because this is looping, it's forever changing that value up and down. What I want it to do, I want it to randomize the range I want. So what I'm going to do is make another blackboard value, float, and it'll be random range. And on my we'll make a new task for this. Get range. Sure. And in here we're going to do get random float. Get float. Random float in range. There you go. And we'll pick between 5 and 300 and set it to a blackboard value, which we have to do because that's how we communicate to other tasks. So we need to have that in there. Promote that to a variable, and in here we'll do random float. We'll flip. Yeah. Make it readable. Finish. Execute. Yes. Okay. So on here we've got find player, but before that happens we'll do get range, and we'll give it the random range value. So the random range value is going to get here. Then on find player, this radius is going to be the key for range. That'd be a blackboard key. And the idea of this is that it's only going to do this once at the start of every time it wants to move. So you're not going to see that jumping around all the time. It's going to be pretty static. And the floating range. Get this. No, it won't, because this is going to be still randomized. Sorry, my bad. We want to. What do I want to do? I don't need it to be random. I need this to be a fixed value, don't I? So maybe on get range, we do. Hang on. Figuring the outliers, people. Right, random vector. And on get range here, we'll do random vector. And store that in a blackboard. Oh. Yeah, this should work. Go to behavior tree and oh, I forgot. And set that to random vector. Okay, so the random vector is going to be used in our find player. Our find player is going to get the range, and multiply it by get blackboard value as vector. I'm going to multiply it by this, and then we're going to add it onto this. That should give us a fixed value every time it generates. Vector. Turn it on. Oh dear. And on the behavior tree, yep, we can now set these to range, vector, range, vector. And fingers crossed, you see him now not doing that line walking thing. I mean, they're getting one line eventually by the looks of it, but that's as good as you're going to get. You can probably find some more randomizations in there too. Different results. Probably change the acceptance radius actually as well a little bit. Change this to 100. Probably randomize that as well in a custom move to node. Yeah. And to stop them from doing that dancing around you whilst you're standing still on the behavior tree. This simple parallel, you just have a decorator. Is that location? And you put in the player, target actor, and you say if you're not within 200, don't do it. Sorry, only do this if you're not within 200. If you're not at location. So as they come near me, they'll stop, and then they shouldn't be moving around anymore. Okay, so I move away further. That seems like the best way of doing it. I'll check it out. Okay, as a good way of doing it. Okay, so you're looking at to recap. You need to generate on the behavior tree. You need to make a move to a location, not an actor, because the actor's too accurate. It's going to walk just straight to it. So you need a location. And that needs to be randomized, but you can't randomize it whilst they're moving because they're going to keep adjusting their location. So if before they start their travel. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. We're randomizing range and the vector, and then we're setting up their first target, and they run off to it, and it's going to be updating throughout to make sure that they actually are following that position around. So you've got basically a relative position that it's following. Okay, I think that's the best way. Next up, we've got a question from. Let's actually take a look here. Vinny asking, hi Ryan, can you show how to push a character with physics? Like instead of the player pushing a ball forward, the ball force actually launches the character on hit. Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to set it up in time. I don't. Actually, no. Let's do a simple ball rolling down this hill thing here. Now I'm just gonna get rid of this AI because I think I'm getting in the way. Ball shape. And let's turn the physics on. Make sure that works as intended. Yep, so we're going to make it so that when we hit us, it's going to knock us back. A bit bigger. And let's make our player start a bit closer. Okay, so standing here, we're going to make me get knocked back by the ball. So what we have to do is on our player character, detect when they've been hit. An event hit. And well, the event hit, you want to check that the other thing that you hit by is simulating physics. So you get hit by physics-based objects only. So you do is simulating. Sorry, other comp you want, other. simulating physics is, yep, and put that into a branch. And if that's the case, I think all we have to do is tell our capsule here to simulate physics. Briefly, you turn it off eventually. Turn it on. We'll like do a little delay. We'll delay it for a long time so we can test it out properly. Let's say 3 seconds, and then turn it back off. And hopefully that's got enough weight behind it to push our character. Now our capsule will just roll around, so you do need to make sure, if you don't want it to be the case to happen, in the physics section of your capsule, go to constraints and tell it to lock all the rotation down. Okay, but the position can be knocked around anywhere. Let's test that out. I'm not going to stand up. No. Let's see if this is actually working here. We'll do breakpoint. Oh wait. Simulation generates hit events there, and also I need it on that ball. Collision. Simulation generates hit events. There we go. That's what I want. Yeah, let's turn it on. Right, turn it off. Okay. Right, let's turn it on again. Might have to make the ball heavier. The ball weight. It's quite heavy. Mass 385. Let's change that to 1,000 kilograms. So it's pushing me, but I think I've got too much friction on me to push me over. So I need to go to a capsule probably, and if I change my mass actually way down, maybe actually like 20. See what that looks like first of all. Right, so the first hit is turning it on, but I need to know, I need to add, okay, I need to do some adding of the actual physics to it. Am I doing the Epic Game Jam, Ryan? No, I'm not. Literally just because I'm just too busy. Too busy, okay? Otherwise I'd love to. Yeah, we could do launch character, but that's not going to be ideal to what they wanted to do. I mean, you can do launch character, but I'm trying to make it as physics based as possible. Launching obviously is not. Now with this simulating physics here, I wonder if I could just use the impulse of this maybe. Add impulse at location. I think the initial problem is that it's hitting us, turning us our physics on, but then it's not knocking us over and doing stuff like that. So that'd be the impulse. Location is here. The impulse will probably need to have a multiplier. Hold on. To say 1,000 for now. I don't know. Work. Okay, and let's see. That does. Oh, too much. Let's try it without any boost. Also, I have to remember I made my character very light. Hang on, let's change that back. Capsule. Back on default. And change my ball as well to use default. Where are we? Okay. Working, but obviously going the wrong way. So just multiply it by -1. Cool. There you go. So that's how you do it with physics-based stuff. If you don't want to use physics-based stuff, you can totally just use your launch character thing. But here you're like almost like pinball effect. Point. Yeah, there's a way of doing it. If not, you want to do launch. If you do want to do launch character instead, it's a lot simpler. You just do hit normal impulse or hit normal, and you do launch character. With that multiplied by how fast you want them to launch off. Okay, without simulating physics, you don't turn off. Just turn off that. Okay. But you can totally do it that way too. Next question. You're welcome, Bassam Soul, who's saying, thank you for all the videos you made. I learned a lot from you and I hope you get a wonderful life. Thank you very much. I do too. Aquamaya can explain Boolean rep notifier. When a key is active on a player, it should spread to other servers. How can I do this? Okay, so rep notifier only works from the server to the client. So you can't do it from client to server. So if you are a player and you want to change your Boolean, you have to tell yourself you want to change the Boolean, and then tell the server. Or what's probably easier is you tell the server like, hey, I want to change my Boolean. The server will change it, and then the rep notifier will then replicate that across to everyone else, and then trigger whatever it needs to do. But the common issue people find is they are seeing it's not working is because they're trying to do the client to the server or client to other clients. It can only be rep notified from the server. Okay. Nanette A. Hi Ryan, how would you smoothly change the camera distance if the character is in combat? For example, in regular mode it would be close to the player, but in combat it will zoom out. Good question. So again, multiple ways of doing this. Let me just take off this stuff. I'm gonna show you. I'll show you two ways. So the first way is by using two cameras. Okay, so you got a camera boom here, and you got a follow camera there. You can have two camera setups here. So, or not even two. Actually, that'd be annoying. So, I'll show you an easier, better way. So if I got this follow camera using the camera boom, this has got a target arm length of 400. I'll do it on a key input rather than a level thing. When I do this, I want to change my camera boom's length. Now you can just type it in, but then it will snap. If you want to be smoother in that change, you'll need to use a variable. We'll do camera distance. And we'll set the default of that to 400 because that's what that's set to already. And when I push 1, I'm going to go get my camera distance. Oh, set camera distance here to let's say 1200. So a lot further away. Now on the tick event, you need to tell your camera distance that you want to change by using finterp2. They do this, finterp2. This will be the target. The current will be the camera boom's arm length. Get target arm length. And put that in there. Oh, there. Delta world seconds. And interrupt speed to 2. And then we'll set target arm length. Okay, so that's been a tick for the finterp to look smooth. So if I push 1, it's going to go into 1200. If I say do another one of these, but let's say we make it so we push 2, make that go back to 400, so it zooms back in. File save. So when I'm playing a game like this, run around, hit 1, zoom, push 2, zoom, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1, So yeah, that's actually the way. The other way of doing it I was mentioning is you have a 2-camera setup, and you basically do get your player controller and do a target set view target with blend, and you can blend it smoothly. That'll be a better solution if you're using a 2-camera setup where you've got like a separate camera system using for just combat. That'd be a better way of doing it in that case. Abdullah Ali, how can I submit my game to Mac for free? You can't if you want to use the iTunes store. Otherwise, you're looking at using websites like Itch to submit your game, but not to Mac. Crazy, how would you design a mob wave spawning system that can be defined per level, like wave 1 spawn 15 mob, 10 Y mob, wave 2 you spawn different mounts, but different values per level? Okay, I think, did I do this on my other one? Can't recall, but you set up the wave system. Like I'm not going to do it right now because it'll take too long. But you set up the wave system, but your level data is stored in a data table, and in a data table you'd have a map, for example, detailing the number of each type of enemy that's going to be in that level. Okay. And so when you go to level 1, you look at row 1 of your data table, look at what the requirements are, copy that data over to your game mode, and then in the game mode, as you spawn enemies in, you're just getting a random key that exists, and then looking at the values and depleting it by 1, and spawning that enemy in. And as you deplete them, if it becomes 0, they get removed from the key list until it's all gone. And if it's all gone, then you move on to level 2. Okay, that'd be the way you do it. Data table, something accessible via blueprints? Yep, it is. So, like for example, I'll do the basic setup. So you first of all have to make the struct enemy spawn struct, we'll call it. And this is gonna be very simple. All it is just the enemy list, and this would be, well, ideally it would be actor classes. So actor class reference set to a map with integers. So it'd be like how many of this actor you can be spawning in, and that's it. That's all you got to do for that. And then you can do a data table based on that. Enemy spawn struct, and in here you'd have like level 1, and in your enemy list you just go, right, I'm gonna pick, I don't know, this actor here. We're going to have 5 of those, and we're going to have 3 of those in for 2. Just change the row name 2, and then you can design, okay, in this one we're going to have 10 of those, and so on and so forth. Keep going. And then your game mode is going to take that data, copy it over at the start of the round, and slowly deplete that map as it generates the enemies in your game. And when it's completely empty, it'll go to, no, it knows it needs to go to the next level. No problem. Kilani, how could you provide a rough inspiration for a grid inventory system? And I think you mentioned before, like grids of different sizes. Yeah. Tricky one. I feel like you could use a uniform grid in some sort of capacity. I think what you need to have is, as you each item will have information about its size, so or what we call span, so how many rows it take up, how many columns it take up. So each item has that information, and when you want to add that item to your inventory, you look in a uniform grid for a gap that has that sort of span available. It would be a uniform grid because you can have things of different spans, and put that in there. But it's something I definitely have to test out and try making myself. I haven't made one before, but that's where I'd probably start. is looking at how I can manipulate the span to be able to calculate if there's any space and or be able to drag things around and so forth. I'll have to play about when I get a chance to. What mouse do I use? I'm using a Razer Naga Trinity. I've got a Razer Naga Trinity mouse and a Blackadder keyboard. Elgato Keylight or Air, Keylight Air. A Yeti Blue mic, although I want to get a new the Wave 3. I want to swap this out for Wave 3. As I think like the sockets on here have been a bit pulled too much. So that's why these are not actually plugged into here right now. They're plugged into the keyboard. So it is playing up a little bit. Which is it's still fine, but I think I want to get like a new one for like a Wave, something that's lower profile, a little bit less in my face all the time, like right up here. Sean Schmidt, hello. Do you have a tutorial on how to determine an actor's location relative to the location's forward vector? So if I spin, I can check between front, back, left, right. I would imagine you're thinking about dot product. So check out my video on dot product and see if that answers what you want. Go on. From understanding what you're asking, that's what it sounds like is what you need. Dot product. Does your Blackadder keyboard patronize you and call you Baldrick all the time? Quite annoying. Malicious Munch, hey Ryan, how would I implement a touch system, then flick a ball in the direction of the swipe and add impulse to it, so forth. I've never actually messed about with this, so there is inputs or touch inputs. So you have touch 1 all the way up to touch 10. That's obviously for your fingers. But there is a swipe. Not swipe. What is it? Gesture. No. What's it called? Hold on. Go into input. Flick. And you get a yeah. Can't do it. I've never used it. I've only ever seen it in that menu. I'm interested in how it works. Motion. That's all like tilt and stuff, isn't it? Gesture. It must be this one. But what that returns, I don't know. Because you would imagine it give you a vector based on speed of the flick and the direction of the flick. Interesting. Do you have access to pinch or anything like that in here? You have this key here. Gesture stuff in there. Click. No. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the flick axis input looks like, because that only returns a float. So it'd be interesting to know what it means by a flick. Does it return like the speed of the flick? I imagine that's the only thing it can really return, but I haven't tried it. I'll have to, when I get a chance to, I'll have a look and try it out on my phone. So if that's the case, if flick gives you how fast you flick something, I guess you want to know the direction of the flick as well. I don't think that's in here, unless you have swipe. Android, no. Gesture, flick, rotate, pinch. Nah. I mean, it's not too difficult to work out because you could just do like you do touch 1, you get the location of the press and the location of the release, and you work out the distance between, or the direction between the two. If you want, you can work out a distance so you can see how far you swiped. But that's normally how you'd work out like a flick sort of thing. That because I've made flick stuff, but not in Unreal. So in the past, I'd make it manually, and that was like when you press, you take a note of where the finger was, and on release, you take where a finger was when it gets released, and then you work out the angle, direction, and the how fast, like how the delta between those two directions. Yeah, I would imagine that's the way to do it, but I don't know. I've tried it out. Just D3 key cryption. Have you ever worked at a games company or just hobby? Yeah, I work at one right now. I work in a freelance capacity right now, but I work at a Gameolic, who are a games company based in Argentina. Hey Ryan, what are your plans for updates on the JRPG series? So the current plans are to put together a couple of videos about extending the JRPG series with some extra bits and bobs that people wanted to know. We've got a list of those things. It's just a matter of getting time to put them together. That's all. Yeah. But it is there. Just time. As always, time is a big issue. Mohammed, hello. How to make a pick with a percentage? I assume you mean a weighted loot table. Check out my video on weighted loot tables. Crazy. Are there any plugins or extensions you recommend for working with Unreal or Blueprints? Nope. No, I don't really use any plugins personally. The ones I have used in the past are all like business-based ones, so like analytics tracking and things like that. But that's it really. Don't really mess about too much with the basic stuff. Kevin Strauss, hey guys, any idea how to sell cosmetic items for microtransactions? So the way it works is you have your store on Steam or iOS or Android, whatever it is, and you have the purchase available in there. When they make the purchase, it comes back to your game and says, hey, they successfully made this purchase, and then you'll get, yes, that's true, and you can unlock that feature for them. And when they load up the game again next time, every time you load the game, it should check your store for receipts and check that you've actually purchased that thing, and then unlock it for your game character right there. That's how they work in a nutshell. Yeah. I'll give you a few, by the way, of things that I'm working on in the background, because there's a few serious things that I'm working on that will be coming out at some point, and with their progress updates. So basically, we've got a brand new quest system in development that fixes a lot of things people had issues with the other one. So it's a lot better, a lot more robust, has a lot more options, a lot neater. So that's in development at the moment. There's a new easy AI system and an easy inventory system coming to. They're in development. The FPS RPG series, they will feed into that somewhere. So that's been in development. A lot of stuff has been done in the background to try and build up content to start recording. But these are obviously quite big projects and work on them. So literally right after this live stream, I'll be working on the quest system probably a bit, and then some other work before I go to bed. But yeah, so lots of stuff is in works coming. So do keep an eye out for it in the coming near future. I'm excited to see the quest system come together. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Any other questions? Let's have a look. Let's scroll around. Do I know how to get a specific controller type, e.g. PS4 or Xbox? Anything I can see is a Reddit post using C++ to parse the hardware. I think I remember seeing something about this. On the key. Hang on. Something about it rings bells, but I can't recall exactly. Let's see. No, you can only get. Looks like you can only get the actual platform that you're playing on, like PC, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. But as for which controller you got plugged in, I don't see anything. No. I know something about rings a bell, but I can't remember when and where I saw it, if I even saw it. Something about it just tickles something in my brain, but not tell you where I'm thinking of it. Just do what every other PC game does and make it work for Xbox controller. Simplest thing to do. Yeah. Sean Smith, have you played with new meta sounds at all? They seem very powerful, but I'm no sound designer. I'm not a sound designer either. I haven't yet played with them. Sound and audio is probably like the bit I know least about. So it's something I want to, it's on my to-do list of things to learn and play about with it. Yeah, it's something to do. We'll see. Would you first have to link your Unreal project with ID Xbox? No, nothing like that. No. I mean, this is why I think most PC games would just use Xbox controller inputs, even if you plug in a PlayStation 1. They just still show Xbox. Or they have an option in a menu where they can change it. But yeah. Okay, brilliant. We're going to end it there for today. Everyone, I want to say massive thank you to everyone's questions that pulled them along today. And thank you again for everyone who's supporting me over on Patreon and on YouTube members as well. Remember, if you want to support me and the channel, head over to patreon.com/Ryan Lely. Get access to latest new videos before anyone else. For example, today was the start of the buff system. There's 3 parts to it. They'll be coming out over the course of the next few days. And that also have the project files available to all Patreon members as well that have it access. But that buff system is on there, coming soon, as well as many other types of videos out there on there too. But yeah, keep an eye out for all the new series starting soon, and also new live streams. I want to get back into doing more varied live streams, doing different things like that. and different events. I'm going to try and get back into it a bit more. I'll say massive thank you to everyone's patience and support over the last few months. It has been a bit of a trying time for various reasons, but I'll say massive thank you to everyone who's shown their support in me and the channel and continue to watch and enjoy the content. And good luck making your games, and I'll see you next Wednesday for next question time. Have a good night, everyone. Bye bye.